What's up, guys? It's MB Boxing, and today I'm going to be listing my top 15 heavyweights right now in 2020. To get into the video, first, number 1, I'm giving it to Tyson Fury, as last night he had an excellent performance against Deontay Wilder, knocking him out in round number 7, dropping him twice in rounds 3 and round 5, stopping him in round 7, and his record's 30-0 with 21 knockouts. He's the lineal WBC and Ring Magazine heavyweight champ, and in my opinion, he's an excellent fighter. And number 2, I'm giving it to Anthony Joshua. Although some people might disagree, I think Joshua's still a good fighter, even though he got exposed against Andy Ruiz. His record 23-1 with 21 knockouts. He's the reigning and defending WBO, IBO, IBF, and WBA champ, even though IBO isn't really a belt. He won his first belt against Charles Martin in April 2016, which was the IBF belt, and he later captured the WBA belt, vacant WBA belt against Vladimir Klitschko, also defeating Joseph Parker for the WBO belt. And at number 3, I'm giving it to the former WBC champion, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. His record 42-1 with 1 draw with 41 knockouts. As I said last night, he lost for the first time in his career by knockout, getting dropped twice. Well, I mean, Deontay Wilder could get beat by anybody in the heavyweight division, but he has the right hand that could knock anybody out. His equilibrium was messed up last night, but in his next fight, if he doesn't get hit there, his right hand will still be a huge factor in ending the fight. Number 4, this is a little bit of a wild card here, because I could have put either Oleksander Usyk, Dillian Whyte, or Andy Ruiz, but I'm giving it to Oleksander Usyk. He still has a lot to show us, as he was supposed to fight Tyrone Spong in October for his first heavyweight bout, which could have been a decent test since Tyrone Spong's a prospect, but he was caught using steroids. So Usyk later faced long heavyweight contender Chaz Witherspoon, stopping him in round 7, I believe. I mean, Usyk really beat him up. I mean, yeah, I feel like he'll do decent. He's supposed to fight Dereck Chisora, I believe. I think that could be for a WBO eliminator, considering that Joshua has to vacate, being that he's fighting Pulev likely. And yeah, I feel like he will win a heavyweight title soon. And number 5, I'm giving it to Andy Ruiz Jr., 33-2 with 22 knockouts. He's the former unified world champ, knocking out Anthony Joshua round number 7. Previously, in I believe 2016, he had a split decision loss to Joseph Parker, or a majority decision. I thought that Ruiz won the fight, 115-113, but the judges scored it otherwise. And that's where he lost his first title shot. And that was against Joseph Parker, where Joseph Parker won his WBO crown. And I think Andy Ruiz is a good boxer. He has great speed. He doesn't have great power, but he has enough power to get a guy out, like he did against Joshua. He has very fast hands, very good skill, and he's a good fighter. But number 6, I'm giving it to Dillian Whyte. He's 27-1 with 18 big wins by knockout. He's fought the likes of Oscar Rivas, Anthony Joshua, as well as Joseph Parker. He dropped Joseph Parker twice in their 12-round affair, but he was also dropped at the end of round number 12. I gave that fight to Dillian Whyte. That's one of his best wins on his record. He also knocked out Dereck Chisora, beating him twice. He's an excellent fighter, I think. He's definitely bounced back from his Anthony Joshua knockout loss. But I don't think Dillian Whyte has an excellent chin, as he was dropped by uppercuts against Anthony Joshua, who has good power, but he was dropped against Oscar Rivas in their fight in round number 9 with an uppercut. And it was a very hard shot, but it didn't look like it was as devastating as Joshua, and he got dropped He didn't know really where he was until he got back up, but he finished that fight winning almost every round except the round where he got dropped. The round he got dropped. But number 7, I'm giving it to Luis King Kong Ortiz. He's the former WBA interim heavyweight champion. His best wins were probably against Malik Scott, Brian Jennings, and other fighters. I saw him fight once against this Argentinian guy at the Triple G vs. Lemieux card. He knocked him out in 2 rounds, and that was for his WBA interim title. He's a good fighter. His only 2 losses were to Deontay Wilder by knockout. I had him winning almost every round of both fights, except the first fight. The first fight was very close. Second fight, he was outboxing Wilder until he got hit with 1 good shot. But I think he still has a lot to give. Although he's in his 40s, he could retire, but I feel like he should fight again. But I'm not sure against who, because he's a PBC fighter, I believe. And he should have another heavyweight bout on PBC. Number 8, I'm giving it to Adam Babyface Kownacki. He's 20-0, 15 by knockout. I think he's a good fighter. He's recently coming off of a unanimous decision win over Chris Arreola in August. And before that, knocking out Gerald Washington in the 2nd round. He's a good fighter. He's the IBF Intercontinental Champion. He's fighting on March 7th against Robert the Nordic Nightmare Hellenius. And I think Kownacki's toughest fight was against former IBF champion Prince Charles Martin. I scored that fight a draw, but the judges scored at 96-94, which was not a bad score for Kownacki. And Kownacki was buzzed in the 10th round. He was hit by Martin's straight left multiple times, and he was hit to the body. I mean, that was really a tough fight for him, but he did manage to pull through, and I think he's a good boxer. He could beat Joshua, but I kind of feel like Joshua would do what he did against Ruiz, sort of run away from the pressure, land his jab, do 1-2s all night, and win on the judges' scorecards. And at number 9, I'm giving it to Oleksander Povetkin, fighting out of Russia. He's 35-2, 35 wins, 2 defeats, 1 draw with 24 by knockout. He's the former WBA heavyweight world champ. His losses are to Vladimir Klitschko, where he was dropped multiple times, which I don't think they should have been scored knockdowns, where Klitschko threw him to the ground multiple times. And one of them was a slip. But he lost by a unanimous decision, a wide unanimous decision, to lose his WBA belt. And I believe that was in 2014 or 2013. I can't remember. But against Joshua, it was in 2018. He hurt Joshua in the first with a huge hook. But then Joshua later dropped him a couple times and finished the fight. But his last fight was against Michael Bounty Hunter on the Joshua Ruiz 2 undercard co-main event. It was for the WBA title eliminator. I scored the fight 116-112 to Povetkin, and the judges scored it majority decision, a majority draw. 1 judge giving it to Hunter, 1 judge giving it to Povetkin, and 1 judge even. And at number 10, I'm giving it to Joseph Parker, 26-2, 20 by knockout. He's the former WBO heavyweight champion. He defended his title a couple times against I guess you could call them bums. But then he fought Anthony Joshua, losing by wide unanimous decision. Not really doing anything in that fight. That was one of Joshua's only decision victories. And, his other loss was to Dillian Whyte. Maybe I should have put him lower on this list, but I feel like number 10 is a decent spot. But he's fighting February 29th against Shondell Winters, so he'll probably get a stoppage victory. Next, he may challenge for a vacant WBO title against Usyk after he fights Chisora, or he may face Chisora. Who knows how Usyk will do against a good heavyweight puncher, which will likely be in March, if not May, somewhere around mid-2020. But Number 11, I'm giving it to Kubrat Pulev. He's 28-1, 14 by knockout. I mean, maybe I should have put him lower on this list, but being that he's the mandatory and Boxer has him number 8 or number 7, I may have to put him at 11. He beat Dereck Chisora, Ruiz Fury, and his last fight wasn't impressive at all, as he went the distance between a journeyman, Rydell Booker, who's about 4 years old, and Pulev is also 4 years old. He's fading now. I feel like he should accept the Joshua fight, and if he doesn't, Prince Charles Martin would get that fight. It'll be a rematch, which I would like to see. But once again, Pulev is 28-1, about 40 years old or 39 years old, I think. He challenged once for the title against Vladimir Klitschko, got knocked out in 5, and that was in, I believe, 2015. And he was just obliterated by Klitschko. And that was Klitschko in Germany, which I feel like Klitschko in Germany was stronger than Klitschko in the U.S., being that they don't really do as much testing in Europe. But moving on, number 12, I'm going to Dereck Chisora. He's I believe, number 10 in BoxRec. He's 32-9 with 23 by knockout. He is good power. He has a stature of Gerald Miller. Yeah, he's a good fighter. He's recently coming off of good knockouts on the zone cards, knocking out David Price, Artur Spilka, and he also had a fight with Dillian Whyte, I believe, December of 2018. And now, number 13, I'm giving it to Oscar Rivas. Maybe I should have put him at number 15, but I think he's a good fighter. He had a good scrap with Dillian Whyte, dropping him. His best win was definitely versus Brian Jennings, where he stopped him in the 11th round, and he did challenge for the WBC interim title. But number 14, moving on, I'm giving it to Prince Charles Martin. He's 28-2, 1 draw, 25 by knockout. He's coming off of a excellent knockout victory over Gerald Washington, which was for the IBF heavyweight eliminator, stopping him in round 6, landing one huge straight left. You would see my review of that fight, which I posted last night. I think Martin's a decent fighter. He's the former IBF heavyweight world champion, beating Vyacheslav Galaskov, losing to Anthony Joshua just 4 months later about. And yeah, number 15, I'm giving it to Michael Bounty Hunter. 18-1, 1 draw with 12 by knockout. He's a former cruiserweight. I think he's a decent heavyweight, but from what I've heard, Charles Martin does beat up Michael Hunter in sparring. I've seen some videos of it. And Michael Hunter did recently challenge Povetkin for the WBA heavyweight eliminator, which was a draw, which I thought Povetkin won. I think Hunter's still a good fighter. His only loss was to Oleksander Usyk by decision. I think Hunter could beat some other heavyweights, but I'm not sure if he could challenge the likes of Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua and beat them. Maybe Joshua, instead of taking the Ruiz fight, should have took the Michael Hunter fight. I feel like he would have beat Hunter, probably by knockout. But yeah, that's number 15. That's really it. I'm MB Boxing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.